Climax Battles Ultimate Match The Gauntlet. It's an optional mode outside the main game that consists of various challenges to complete. These can range from having time limits to not being able to take a hit to whatever gimmick RGG can think of. Once you complete all that, you then have access to Ultimate Matches, which is basically a boss rush. Now, I say this mode's optional, but if you want this, yeah, it's mandatory. There's a lot of challenges you have to do, and some of them will make you wanna... I'm gonna show you the ones that are the absolute worst to go through, and maybe try and provide a guide for them. And before I start, spoiler warning, mainly on bosses. But yeah, let's get into it. Without a doubt, 0 is the most difficult to go through. This whole mode is a difficulty spike, and the ones that are the absolute worst to go through, I feel like they were just made to make you suffer. Proving Ground 6. Get 30 million yen within the time limit. This is basically the breaker battles with the Areshi brothers. You knock them down with a triangle move, and when you do, you get a multiplier. But if you get knocked down, you lose the multiplier. You have to get a pretty high score in a relatively short amount of time. The best way to do this is to vary up your triangle moves. Mixing it up with double square triangle and triple square triangle is going to be your main go-to. The key thing with this though is spacing. Every time one of the brothers gets knocked down, they do an immediate attack on wake up. You basically want to tap them so you don't get hit. And right when you're about to strike a pose, don't hit triangle again. You're not going to have the mobility you need to move away. Being mobile and knowing your surroundings is going to be the key thing to beat this challenge. Proving Grounds 8. Oh, I know y'all were waiting for this one. Beat all enemies while fighting in an altered state. Alright, so you gotta go against 4 waves of enemies. And while you're doing that, your vision's a little messed up, your health decreases, and you randomly switch styles at random times. What's that one JonTron quote? This is a gambler's paradise with the amount of RNG that's going on here. There's a lot of stuff in play here that's not in your control. However, there are some strats you can use on each run. You're gonna start out in Thug, and when you do, pick up the umbrella that's right in front of you. The one that does random status effect. God damn! Why don't you add a 50-50 while you're at it? Breaker is gonna be what you want to switch to. You're gonna be able to get most of your damage through this style. If you swap the Slugger, use it for heat actions. And if you ever swap back the Thug, use the Marlin Cannon. This could take 1 attempt, 10, 100, 1,000. It all depends if the RNG is gonna go your way, so might as well play it if you're feeling lucky. Melee Battle 2. Beat all enemies within the time limits. Melee Battles 1 through 6 basically have you go against 3 waves of enemies using only one style. One of the toughest ones you have to do is the one with Thug. It's a style that not a lot of people like, and the time limit's really short. However, Thug is actually one of my favorites, so let me teach you some fundamentals. Your main combo is going to be a quadruple square triangle. You want to follow that up with a quick step cancel towards or to the side of your opponent and hit triangle again. Another strat that's easier is to grab, throw, heat action. You always get a bar of heat every time you throw. So just act like this is Street Fighter 6 and just do a throw loop. They cannot tech the throw. Melee Battle 4. For this one, you have to use Slugger style. And I'm gonna be real, I hate Slugger. You can't hit triangle near any wall without feeling the recoil and bouncing 30 feet. It doesn't help that the time limit is short and the enemies you go against love to dodge. Sugar, spice, and everything to ruin my day. Your main combo is gonna be double square triangle. You're gonna swing that shit like Barry Bonds every time, and it covers a good amount of range too. You also wanna save your heat actions for the mini bosses so you can maximize the damage. There's also a good amount of luck in play with them not dodging you, so it's probably gonna take a little bit to finish this. There's a unique section to 0 called Millionaire Battles. It's basically all challenges involving fighting Mr. Shakedown. And it's gonna go about as well as you would expect. You get hit once, well, GG's, gotta run it back. The most interesting ones you have to do are the last 2, because you have to fight 2 of them at the same time. It's actually not as bad as it sounds. With Kiryu, you have the counter hook, which is basically a pseudo tiger drop. And Majima, you have Breaker. Just Breaker. That's all you need, really. There's 2 ultimate battles that I want to specifically focus on. And that would be the first 2, because when you take damage, you take damage. Thank God Kiryu has a skill where pretty much if you have a full heat bar, you can heal yourself. With Majima, you can't do that, because of course you can't. Have you noticed a pattern, by the way? Yeah, There's a reason why he's in the middle of the thumbnail. Lee and Nishitani are complete pushovers. Just use Breaker and you'll be able to beat them easily. Don't look at my health, by the way. I swear it's easy. Then you get the Sarah. Now, on the surface, he moves slow, he attacks slow, but that won't stop him from bodying you. This man's the Luka Doncic of Yakuza. Quick step evasion strike is gonna be your best move here. And the only way you can really beat this is to play it patiently. So take your time. Now, Kiwami is easier than Zero, but how should I say this? You know when you go to Home Depot and you go to that section with like all the colors and you see two colors of the same color, but they're different shades, so it's really not the same, but it kinda is? Yeah, that's Kiwami. Proving Ground 6. Beat all enemies, don't take damage, and stay in heat mode. So I drew a roadmap on the order of enemies you should hit on the first floor. After you hit number 5, make sure you pick up the Stamina X. The final section has this little mini boss with this guy with the sword. If you fight him normally, you're gonna lose. So what you should do is dash around him and do a heat action from behind. You'll be able to have enough heat to stay in heat mode. Pop the Stamina X, and then take care of the last 2 guys. It's gonna require a little bit of trial and error, but eventually you'll get there. Proving Ground 10. Do your best, Detective Date-san. Pave the path to your future with your own hands. What's cool about this one is that you get to play as Date. What's not so cool about this is you get to play as wasted, drunk-ass Date. Regular old Date, my ass. Look at the way he's moving. You low-key look like a titan. So you want to go for the gun guy first and try and get as much wall damage as you can. Wall damage will be your best friend, just keep going for that. But the fact that you move so slow, you're gonna have to do this a couple times, at least. Melee Battle 8. Topple the boss at the very top within the time limit. You can only use Dragon of Dojima style. You have to do an entire long battle with the health bar the size of my dick, and when you finally get to the top, you gotta fight Wish Dante. I mean, the fact that the first thing you see is a 30-minute time limit is crazy. At least they were nice enough to give you health items along the way. Some of them are hidden throughout, so you kind of have to look around a little bit. While this isn't exactly too difficult, the fact that you're gonna be there for at least 15 minutes on a good run is ridiculous. Melee Battle 10. Oh god. Suppress the Tojo Clan HQ heavies within the time limit. So you're in the IF7, you got the little filter going and the music playing. Let's go down the list of enemies you have to go through in this one. 1 wave of normal guys. Then, you have to fight Kashiwagi. He's gonna take at least half of your health if he's feeling nice. More normal guys, another wave of normal guys, and then this guy. Who the hell even is this guy? What does he bring to the table besides a headache? And after all of that, you gotta fight Sarah. Oh, no. I don't wanna get dunked on again, no. Honestly, I got nothing. Even trying to get the footage for this, I couldn't beat it. How the hell did I do this the first time? Boss spam with straight out of prison Kiryu? Man, just fucking end me now, bro. I hate it here. So the section that's unique to Kiwami is Mad Dog battles. Instead of fighting a bunch of shakedowns in Zero, you're fighting a bunch of Majimas. And this is way easier than the shakedowns in comparison. The ultimate battles are a lot more straightforward in this one as well. There isn't any hidden gimmicks, just straight boss fights. Now keep in mind that you are maxed out Kiryu, and you have Dragon of Dojima style, meaning you have access to the greatest move in this whole series. I'm talking about the Tiger Drop! A move so good, it can single-handedly carry. If you can use this, you can do anything. Looking back at Yakuza 3's ultimate matches, I couldn't really recall any of them. The only one I really remember was chasing Ultimate Mac, just cause at the time I had crazy stick drift. Other than that, there really isn't much to say here. Most of the challenges are actually pretty easy. I think the reason is that this is the only one with a grading system. Depending on how fast you complete it or how little damage you take, you'll receive a grade. These range from C to S. If you S rank all challenges, you get the War God Talisman, which gives you infinite heat. If you've never tried this mode before, I think Yakuza 3 is the perfect one to start with. A lot of these challenges are very forgiving, so you should have a relatively easy experience. Except for one. Ultimate Match 3. You're in the IF7, and you have to fight 3 Lao Kao Longs. That could have been the challenge right there. I'm getting jumped by 3 Laos, and there's more? After that, you gotta go fight Golden Joji. Dude's a defensive beast, so you're fighting the time more than him. And after that, on some Scott Pilgrim shit, you have to fight Kiryu. And he has way more health than the first 2 fights, so your fundamentals are gonna get tested. Also, you may have noticed that I did not do the last Ultimate match. And the reason for that is simply, I don't have to. The trophy description reads, play all rounds in Ultimate Match after beating the game. You can simply just click on Ultimate Match 5 and back out the second you have the chance to, and you'll be able to get the trophy. This is the only game you can do this for, so I recommend doing it. Yakuza 4's Ultimate Matches was the first one I completed. And if you put them on like a scale in terms of like the difficulty, it's definitely more difficult than 3, but nowhere near as bad as 0 and Kiwami. You'll be chilling for most of them, but there's a couple of them you gotta lock in for. Proving Ground 6. Keep Manami from picking up the microphone. You know, this wouldn't be so bad if Manami wasn't a magnet to the mic. He's got John Jones reach at times. It's just, what can you do? You want to try and position both mics to be as far away from each other as you can get. It's going to require picking him up and just throwing it at the wall. And then you kind of just want to move in a U shape back and forth and just hope that he doesn't pick it up. Hey, I bet Manami would fuck it up though at one of them Filipino karaoke joints. Proving Ground 7. Destroy the farthest stone wall within the time limit. So you're splunking with Saejima, as he normally does. There's gonna be 2 rooms that you encounter, and every time you hit a wall, boulders start to fly down. And you can get caught in a combo loop if you're not careful. The most efficient way to do this is that when you get to those 2 rooms, you wanna only press square. The damage output seems to be about the same, so you wanna focus on the quantity of hits. It'll also give you more time to dodge, so you'll be able to beat this with a good amount of time left. Sprint Match 3. Outrun the Kappa and head to the finish line as quickly as possible. So you're getting chased by a bunch of Kappa. Not only are they naturally faster than you, but they also multiply. Trying the just run is just not an option. What you want to do is move in a zigzag direction and mash square. You'll be able to dodge most of their attacks and make it to the finish line. One-on-one Match 5. Work with Akiyama to eliminate Daigo and Arai. I'm not gonna lie, I just wanted to add this one just because I was whooping Daigo's ass. Look at this Komaki parry. Hang up the boots, Daigo, you're done. To be honest, Arai kinda cooked me too. You can't grab him, Akiyama can't grab him. You know, we don't need to talk about it. The hardest thing you'll have to do is Ultimate Matches. This is the only game where every boss rush has a time limit attached to it. You have to do 1 with each character, and the final one is basically a combination of the 4. Now, let me break this down for you.
Alright, it's nothing more than just like a simple word problem. Alright, so check this out. The Yakuza 4 want to take on Ultimate Match 5. Each member has 3 boss fights from the previous Ultimate Matches. In 16 minutes, what is the average time each boss should be beaten? Solve for X. Simple. Let's just break this down, right? So you got 4 Yakuza. They got 3 boss fights each. That makes 12, right? So you got 12 enemies in total. Now, you have the 16 minutes you gotta do. So that means it's 16 over 12. Now, you can take the 16 over 12 and you can divide each one by 4, and that would make it 4 over 3. So now, to convert that to time, you basically have to times it by 60. So it's like 60 minutes, right? So basically, you got the 4 over 3, right? Maybe that, and then you want to multiply it by 60. And then that would make it 80, because like, it'd be like 80 seconds. So basically, you need to beat each boss in 1 minute and 20 seconds.
Oh, I forgot to mention, after you beat the final guy, well, you have to fight Komaki. I'm fucking sick of this shit, man. Your knowledge on these characters is gonna be crucial. Akiyama's is the most straightforward out of the bunch. The hardest thing you'll have to do is fight that chainsaw guy just because of the super armor that he has. But they gave Akiyama his own tiger drop. Man. With Saejima, you just want to use the charge moves just because of the super armor it comes with it. Doing a charge triangle on a single square combo on a downed opponent is another way to get good damage. Tanimura is the most important part of this because I believe that the guy that's gonna make or break your run is Sugiuchi. Fighting him normally will most likely take way too much time, but there's a little bit of an exploit that you can use. You see this red cargo container? Parry, kick him down a couple times, heat action, repeat. Using this strat will pretty much save your run, and turns the challenge from difficult to not that bad. And with Kiryu, I mean, do I really even have to say it? I feel like Yakuza 5's ultimate matches are more of an afterthought in the grand scheme of things. What you should be worried about is that completion list. I mean, ugh. Melee Match 6. Defeat all enemies within the time limit using only weapon switching. Ugh, this one is just tedious. Somewhere out there was an RGG employee that thought, this is a good idea. And it worked! We have to play it! So the assumption would be to go in there, swap between each weapon, and then you win. But doing that actually makes it way more difficult than it needs to be. What you should do is equip a weapon, then unequip it. Equip a different weapon, then unequip it, so on and so forth. For some reason, this just does more damage, and you'll be able to have a much easier time if you do it like this. Proving Grounds 10. Defeat all enemies with a single pitch within the time limits. So you're on the field, and you got the opposing 9 running towards you. They're all gonna clutter together. You wanna try and line them up as straight as you can get, and then once you get the right position, you wanna chuck that bitch like you're Otani. The issue is that this is really inconsistent. There's gonna be times where you think you got it, you throw it, there's one guy left, you fail. Sometimes they don't even want to line up properly. My suggestion is that even though there is a time limit, they gave you more than enough time, so take as much time as you need to line them up. You can lock on to the guy in front to help kind of straighten out the line, but when you're about to throw it, don't lock on to anybody. That'll mess up the angle. Sprint Match 3. Escape the forklift before time runs out. There's a big ass forklift that's chasing you and you're on the crash cam. And there is no way you can avoid this thing. This is not Sonic Adventure 2. You're getting clipped by this thing at least a few times. The issue with this one is that the time limit is so strict. There will be points where you need to break a pallet through, but there's a good chance that you might break the wrong one. A mistake like that is all it'll take for you to fail this challenge. A trick you can do is to kind of jump right before you get hit. You'll get a little bit of iframes to keep the momentum just for that little bit. Also, there's a turn around the 30-second mark. If you just hang left, you can cut a good amount of time. This will for sure take at least a couple attempts to get the hang of everything. Knowing the path and not getting unlucky with the pallets, you'll be able to beat this. I just realized those were all Shinada challenges. Huh. Join the club. Ultimate matches in 5 are arguably the easiest in this one. There isn't any time limits you have to worry about like in 4. They gave Saejima a tiger drop in this one. What you gonna do with that? The most difficult one you're probably gonna have with is Shinada just cause, well, you're gonna be there for a while. I mean, you know. The ones I want to point out in particular are the ones you have to do with Kiryu. There's a variation on a move that you can only use in 5. That is the bounding throw. You normally use it by hitting circle after using triangle to extend your combo. In other games, it would cost heat to do this, but in this one, no heat needed. There's an exploit with this that can basically create an infinite loop. When the opponent is down, you want to whiff the first 2 square inputs. As they're getting up, you want to hit triangle. This will give you the hit confirm needed to do the bounding throw. And you can do this for as long as you desire. It takes a little bit to learn the timing of it, but once you get it, you got it. You can kinda do this with Shinada as well. It's like a very light version of it. The timing is way more finicky. But once you learn this bounding throw loop with Kiryu, it's gonna be difficult to play him like how you're supposed to. So use it at your own discretion. The Gauntlet is interesting because it gives a different take on the typical Climax battle formula. Every time you complete a challenge, you get an item. Some of these items can only be obtained through the Gauntlet, like materials, gear, and even a skill book. The challenges with a checkmark are the only ones you have to do if you want to get the Platinum Trophy. That being said, here's some tricky ones that you have to go through. One Hit Legend. Take down all enemies, but you have to defeat them with 1 hit. You want to go around in a circle, run up to the little enemies and hit triangle. Once it's just you and Daimu, oh, you already know. You get him with the Tiger Drop! Yokohama Lumang. Take down all enemies while staying in EX boost. So something you should be looking at is Yagami's condition. Some challenges say that there's an item you can use, and it's pretty important if you want to complete the challenge. Don't make these challenges harder than it needs to be. Just use the item. Gun Grabber. Take down all enemies even though they're all carrying firearms. Pistols, shotguns, grenades, rocket launchers. Everyone is strapped. You are in Snake style, so disarm everybody. Then you can just start throwing them around, whether normally or in EX. Also, there's an item you can use, and I didn't know because I didn't look at Yagami's condition. So you should look at that. Masked Surrender. Use EX Surrender to take down the masked men. But what? I'm not reading all that. The thing you want to look out for is your health. You are able to take a hit though, so it's not like the one-hit challenges from the other games. Honestly, I think the best thing you can do is just be really aggressive. Don't let the health thing intimidate you, just go in there and start disarming. If you have the Detective Essentials pack, you can fight Amon. But why would you do that? This man can summon orbital lasers, he can pull out RCXDs. I don't know what kind of kill streak he went on to even get that. He punches the ground like Sakura, and on top of all of that, he can shoot a fireball. Forget it. Man, I gotta tell you, when I finished Ishin and the first thing I saw was that I can do Ultimate Challenge, man, I was so happy. I avoided this one for a while, I'll admit, just cause at the time, I just didn't want to suffer again. 30 more challenges, and knowing that this game came out before Zero, at least the original, I was just expecting the worst. Well, now that I played it, finished it, I can now say that this iteration is not that bad. There's actually a really easy solution for most of these challenges.
I pull out the Glock!
Gunman and Wild Dancer, especially Wild Dancer, absolutely carry. And if you go in there with those styles as your go-to approach, you're gonna breeze through most of these challenges. But think about this for a sec. What if you wanted to use a gun, but God said, Brawler. Combat Challenge 3. Use Brawler style to defeat all enemies within the time limit. Brawler is a 2-pack of ass. It makes Shinada look like a broken character. Your main priority is gonna be the armored guy. Target him using the triple square triangle combo. When you get heat, throw him, go to his legs, do a heat action which will make you do the Claudia swing, damaging him and others around him. Repeat this process on him and whoever's left and you'll be able to beat the challenge. Fuck Brawler. Combat Challenge 9. Escape from Kochi Castle within the time limit. This is basically a long battle with a stricter time limit than Kiwami's. The one thing worth noting is that on the third room, with the guy with the basket, if you prioritize him, you can just skip the room. Doing that as well as using the most OP heat action, Wild Dancer, Lock On with multiple enemies nearby, it pretty much insta-kills like 3 to 4 of them. You'll be able to make it in plenty of time. Speed Challenge 3. Escape from the Shinsengumi within the time limit and reach your destination. So on the map here, this is the path you want to take. Now, if you juke every guard that's in your way and you get to your destination, they won't give it to you because you're being chased. Then it turns to you getting caught, quick time event, now you gotta run around, and I don't know how it resulted to this, but it did. So you actually want to get caught on purpose by the second guy. After you do the QuickTime event, it stuns not only him, but also everyone else around him. Do that with the last guy and you'll be able to make it. This is kind of dumb, honestly. Now with Ultimate Matches, there's one thing I want to point out. With Ultimate Match 5, there's a little bit of an exploit you can do with the final boss. Apparently it's not foolproof, but it worked with me, so it's worth noting. So once it starts, if you run to the corner, swap to Gunman, hold R1 and just mash square, what should happen is that he'll just stand there. Yeah, just pretty much stand there and eat bullets. Oh, and I had to use someone else's footage just cause, well, when I did it, well, just look at it. I can't have anything go my way.